I may have bought another stupid thing off Temu. This time, I bought an X-Book. And I'm pretty sure that a 300-ish Canadian dollar laptop off a retailer that primarily specializes in whatever plastic crap fell off the back of the delivery truck this week is gonna be real special. So let's check it out. But first, today's video is sponsored by Deepcool's new digital series of AK coolers. It's the same AK coolers we've come to love with their amazing thermals, low noise, and very easy installation process, but with some added tasteful digital flair. Look at that very much not obnoxious digital temperature readout flexing the cooling power of our AK620. Check out Deepcool's digital series AK coolers using the link in the video description. Thank you Deepcool for sponsoring today's video. Amazingly, this laptop actually didn't come wrapped in several layers of ocean plastic, which is a nice touch. And apparently it's from Germany. Ooh, fancy. Wait, so does that mean it's made of like bratwurst? And there's some of the obligatory package negligence on the back. I was actually worried initially that there wasn't any, but it's here. In this first little box, we get a cool power adapter. That looks a little bit like a cell phone charger. Wow, that is a 24-watt power brick. So this X-Book is really not very powerful. But we're obviously still gonna try game on it. Wow, the Coup X-Book does look suspiciously like a rebranded fake MacBook Air, which I'm sure means it'll just be a gaming beast. And the specs do corroborate the gaming beast theory with an Intel Celeron J4125 inside. I don't think I've actually gamed on one of these before. I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. And aside from the 14-inch 1080p display, what's kind of concerning to me is that there are also Linux versions of this laptop. I really hope this is the Windows version because I don't want a sudo apt-get nothing. And then finally, this is a middle-of-the-pack 8GB variant. We get a nice heavy envelope in the box, I'm assuming with like warranty stuff in it. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that's a picture of a MacBook Air right there. Other than that, it is just a bunch of warranty crap. Nice. That, I'm not gonna lie, smells kind of like an Apple product. It's got that artificially injected, neutral, clean smell to it, which is interesting. Usually you pay hundreds of dollars for that smell. And then we get what looks like a very gamery logo for the little Coup. Wow, there is some deja vu looking at this laptop. The silver plastic reminds me quite a bit of that Chewy laptop I had a look at like 2 years ago. The I/O on the right side of the laptop, aside from the USB and microphone headphone jack, has a nice professional touch with the micro SD card slot. Ooh. And on the left, next to the tiny little power jack and USB 3 port, is the horrendous mini HDMI port. I really hate these, but it's a thin laptop. They probably wouldn't have been able to fit a full-sized one here. So on the one hand, it's a herpes connector. On the other hand, at least there's a connector. Although on the bottom, we do have something very exciting. I think this is only the second time I've seen it on a new laptop. A glory hole, look at that. That looks like an M.2 glory hole. That's a bit small for my liking, but it's more than enough to accommodate me. Other than that, there's very little room for ventilation on the back, but we do have a Celeron in here, so that doesn't really matter, to be honest. Let's see if it passes the one-hand open test. I like how the little internal cloth bit is hanging out like just pastrami from a sandwich. I've never seen that before. Normally, they actually have them the correct size. Very much not. Yeah, if you're far enough away and squint hard enough, it does really look like a little MacBook. I haven't interacted with the Chewy laptop in ages, but that is exactly how I remember its keyboard feeling. It has quite a big trackpad with reasonably nice little clickies to it. The front-firing speakers are... those aren't actual holes. Those are just little stickers that they stuck on there. That is some real nice attention to detail there. I like that a lot. Oh yeah, good peel. Around the edge of the display, we've got this like fake carbon fiber effect sticker. I'm not going to try and pull it off. I don't want to ruin the aesthetic of our majestic laptop. They managed to fit the little webcam up there. That's a good spot for it. I'm sure it's very high quality. Now, because this is a 14-inch laptop, we don't get a numpad on it. So unfortunately, you can't use it for QuickBooks or whatever. Oh, actually, so if you like function key, you can do QuickBooks on this little laptop. That's a pretty cool implementation. And with that revelation, I guess it's time to fire up the laptop and see if we have to suffer through some sudo today. Mega trends. It's been a while since I've seen that. Okay, that is Windows stuff happening, so I'm not gonna have to deal with Linux. Once the laptop struggled through the setup process, the display stood out to me first. Is this really 1080p? It is 1080p. It feels quite soft. The viewing angles are also rough. You lose a lot of brightness when you're off axis. In terms of measurements, the display is pretty garbage for a modern display, but in practice, it doesn't look quite as bad as the measurements would suggest, at least when you're looking at it on axis. Specs-wise, here's our 5-year-old little Celeron. 8 gigs of RAM, which says 4 of 4, so I'm assuming those are 4 soldered down little memory modules, which we'll find out when we open up the laptop a bit later. Storage-wise, 128 gig SSD, and then finally, our UHD graphics 600, which should make for some real amazing gameplay. Next, installing all the software I needed for gaming on this laptop, like Steam and MSI Afterburner, was an infuriatingly slow process. This laptop can barely run Windows 11. It feels like using a device that suffered a recent and traumatic head injury. Which bodes real well for actually gaming on it. Now, of course, we're starting with GTA 5 because it runs terribly in a really funny way, and I'm being real brave here, starting at 1080p on a laptop that can barely run Windows 11. Oh, never mind, this actually isn't going that badly. Now, I know 9 frames per second not being that bad may be a bit of a stretch, but at least stuff's rendering, you know? It is actually running GTA 5 a little bit better than it runs Windows 11. No, this is super unplayable. Like, not even almost playable happening here. I'm gonna have to drop the resolution a bit. That has made a bit of a difference, which you can't really take for granted with these Celerons. Usually the CPU is the bottleneck in terms of frame rate, so this is pretty impressive. In a baby figuring out how to not vomit on itself kind of way. Dropping it to the lowest resolution the game supports hasn't really given us that much more performance, which is interesting considering that it seems like the GPU is still the main issue here. Yeah, sub 20 frames per second really doesn't count as a playable experience, especially at 800 by 600. Yeah, I'd say this is perfectly usable for competitive CSGO gameplay. Look at that smooth gameplay. We do have a bit of a disadvantage here in that there are bots running and we are pretty severely CPU limited. So that is gonna have a big impact on our performance. And besides, even if the frame rate doubles, it's still just gonna be 10 frames per second. Let's see, can we get him? Hey, I took a bot down though, so Shroud can definitely use this for competitive play. Next, let's try Performance Fidelity FX and see what that does for us. Whoa, we've jumped all the way up to 7 frames per second now. Oh yeah, smooth as silk. It's back down to 4. I guess it depends Oh, do you know why I think it jumped up to 7? Because a bunch of the bots died. Dota is the best running game so far, peaking over 25 frames per second, and as we all know, the human eye can't see more than that, so even if we wanted to, we couldn't use anymore. The next 4 games I tried either straight up refused to launch or just died straight after pretending to launch. Even Fortnite took several attempts and a driver update to get running. It only took 5 tries, but it's finally launched. Oh yeah, look at... Ooh, those are some good stutters. According to the game, we have some network connectivity issues as well. I mean, it does look very desyncy. Oh no, I think there's someone in here. This isn't gonna go great, is it? Wow, that went very well. But I think I know what the problem is. Now, according to the comment section of the entire last Temu video, this little Mctenthiddy half keyboard thing isn't nearly as stupid as I said it is, because for laptop gaming, it is very good, apparently. Let's see if adding the Mctenthiddy to our Temu laptop significantly improves our gaming experience. Oh yeah, feeling way more gamery already. And Fortnite is unironically running better. It's obviously not because of the Mctenthiddy, but I think it's because the desync's gone. I think it was a server-related issue. This feels like I'm playing a game 25 years ago on my grandmother's computer. This is crazy. Like, look at them graphics. Oh yeah, what a tree. Oh, there we go, there we go. We got our tree finally. Now, when it comes to the Mctenthiddy, yeah, in this context, ergonomically, it is a lot better than gaming on the laptop, and because it's small, it's still portable. So, yeah, for games like Fortnite, I do agree with you angry commenters in the previous video. It does kind of make sense. Although, interestingly, I did have somebody tell me that this product, they actually had to recall off of Amazon because it's known to install malware on your PC. So I am gonna have to scrub this laptop after I'm done with it. But potential malware aside, let's tear down the laptop and have a look at its guts. Oh, I forgot about the glory hole. That needs to open first. And just like that, we have access to our SSD, which we can now upgrade very easily through our glory hole. This actually looks like it's going to be a very easy laptop to take apart because we've got a clear separation between the bottom plate and the side one, some screws, and then hopefully the back's just going to pop out. Wow, that's a strong clip. Oh, there we go. So this bit of thin copper is all they need to cool that little Celeron. Next to that, we've got our 120 gig SSD, which we can access without taking the whole bottom plate off. Other than that, here is our battery. It's not a super high capacity, but this is a very low power draw device, so the battery's gonna last for ages. And the right I/O is connected to the main motherboard with this little daughter board thingy and a ribbon cable. But with that, I do actually want to take this little copper piece off and have a look under there. But before we do that, we have to unplug the battery before the internet shouts at me. Whoa, that is some sickly looking copper on the bottom. But putting that aside, they used the thermal pad instead of thermal paste to interface between this little bit of copper and the Celeron down there, which is very interesting. And then finally on the PCB, we've got the very cute little Celeron. And then in typical Apple fashion, we've got some solder down RAM on the side. So at the end of the day, we did get a functional laptop off Temu, but for 360 Canadian dollars, we've seen devices on this channel that don't feel like doing your computing on something that's recently been heavily lead poisoned. Which brings me to the end of another video. Subscribe if you liked it, don't if you don't, and until the next video, bye bye.